All right, the next move is called large sun moon hands. What she's going to do is she's going to step up with her rear foot and make a big clockwise circle with her hands. As she inhales, her hands come up very high. At the apex, she starts to exhale. Now upon exhaling, she's going to turn. See how she's rotating her body? She steps out with her left foot, slow down, at a 45-degree angle. And now she's going to step forward with her right foot, and notice it's very empty. There's no weight on it, just a toe. Her hands come behind. They're going to come over her shoulder. Her left hand is going to be chopping into her wrist. Then it's going to come over the shoulder and down. As it comes down, she's going to shift the weight, shift her foot here so her heel goes down, and then step up with her left foot, similar to the starting position of the form. Now, as her hands come over her shoulder, the hand that was actually doing the chopping into the wrist is going to come to the side, allowing room for the right hand to come upward. Now, in this motion, elbows are down, which keeps the shoulders down, which keeps relaxation in the chi flowing regularly. The wrist is bent. The hand is in the crane beak position. The left hand is pushing out and downward. At this point, we're inhaling. The fingertips are going to be right at the same level as the pineal gland, which is going to be right in between the eyes, back deep recessed into the brain. On a side note, René Descartes, I believe, there was the Western tradition of thinking about the mind and body in the medieval times up to about 200 years ago. It was generally believed that the mind and body were separate, antagonistic, fighting each other. Whereas this René Descartes fellow said that the pineal gland was the actual gland that was the point of the juxtaposition of where the mind and body actually communicated. The Chinese feel that the pineal gland is also very important. They say that it allows us, a well-developed pineal gland will help us with all of our intuitive judgment. So when we pull up the energy into this idea here, well, you don't pull the energy up in the idea, but when we pull the energy up with our hand, we're visualizing the energy going straight up the spine into this pineal gland. So after we inhale, that's where she is right now. Now she's going to exhale. As she exhales, she's bending her knees, she's sinking down, and she's going to change the position. So now the hand is going to be pushed down, wrist is bent, hands in a crane beak position. Now she's going to exhale, that hand's going to come down, and both hands are going to come together and come up, inhaling. Now, you want to turn around, I'll get you, well, I'll show that. This movement is called the great elephant raises its trunk. Now, from this next motion, she's going to step back with her left foot. The hands open up. Now, there are a few moves in this first set that are kind of tricky. This is one of them. Now, as she shifts her weight backwards, toe comes up on the toe. Now, this movement is going to be similar to that of sun, moon, hands. However, it's going to be with the hands, everything is the same, except instead of the hands coming up, they're going to go down. So as she turns her hips, the foot turns in, so now she's kind of knock-kneed. And now this is where the point comes in. She moves back, so the weight is settled on that rear foot. Now you see her hands are kind of pulling toward her. They just continue that motion. And then they come up over the right shoulder in that same fashion as before. Now she's going to move her left foot over so it's on the toe, now the heel, and she's going to put the weight forward and step up, similar to the starting position. Now, I'm going to keep her facing away from you because now I'm going to demonstrate, I talked about visualizing where the energy goes. Now, as she comes up, it's going to be the exact opposite now. So as the hand come under, the left hand is going to come up first. Now hold that just for a second. Now if I was able to do this, we'd have to have really good graphics, but I go in and actually pull out a vertebrae. Now, you'll have to visualize that I have a vertebrae here. There are 3 holes in a vertebrae. One is the big one in the middle, that's obviously for the spinal column, or the spinal cord, and then there's 2 smaller ones on the little wing parts of the vertebrae. These are also for nerves. So now when she raises her left arm up here, visualizing, she's bringing the energy up one of these small little nerve bundles on the left-hand side, bringing it up to that pineal gland. Now she's going to exhale. Now naturally the energy is going down the front of the body. Now when she inhales again, her right hand is coming up, and now it's going up the right-hand channel for that nerves. And then she exhales, energy goes over the top of the head and down, and as she inhales now, she's using both hands, there's a lot of energy up the spinal cord, pulls right up here, right up the middle. Okay, so that is great elephant raises its trunk on the second one. Now, from here, I'm going to have her turn around. So now, the actual facing, we're actually facing the rear of the room from whence we started, but for obvious reasons, we're going to face you. From this position, her hands are going to open up and gently float down to earth. And now she's going to step back with her right foot and pretend that she's splashing her face with a bunch of water. Now, as you notice, hold this just for just a second, she comes up, her toe comes up, so she has all her weight on her right foot, and the left foot is just the only thing that's touching the ground is the heel. When she comes in, her left hand is on the inside, and this immediately moves right into the next form of needle at the bottom of the C. So from this point, she's going to switch, and her toe is going to come down so that her toe is the only thing touching the ground, and her hand is like over her other wrist, like she's trying to take her pulse. Another way we do this is pretend like you shake hands with a fish. Okay, you can come up. That's a tough move, so we don't want to hold that very long. Now, one of the bones of contention here is how you should have your hands. The typical idea of Tai Chi is relax, relax, relax. So everybody does their Tai Chi all sloppy. Well, Tai Chi is also a martial art, which has to be done with tremendous attention to detail. Now, in having your hands postured the correct way, you don't want to have your hands like this. Like when you're doing the needle at the bottom of the C, you don't want to have your hands like this. You want to have your hands as if you're doing this game. And put your hands up. No, not like that. Now, I'm sure most of us have played this game when we were young, where you do this, and you put your hands, and then you'd go, bam! You haven't done that?
No.
Well, most of the rest of us, hopefully, you put your hands like this. Now, your job as the person with their hands on the top, they're going to get their hand slapped, is to pull away. So as soon as you feel my hands turn, you want to pull a hand away. Ready? There. Now, at that point, I can feel in her hands, they're relaxed, but she's ready to move at any minute. And that's the way we want our hands in our Tai Chi form. We want, it's like, how? We want to have them bent and relaxed, but we want to have them ready, like a cat ready to pounce upon a mouse. Sorry, I stole that from the Kung Fu school. So we want to make sure that the hands are slightly curved, but straight. Okay, so from the needle at the bottom of the C position. Oh, let me turn you to the side for a second. I want to show the back.
This way?
That way. Now, from needle to the bottom of the C, notice the back is still straight. She's not leaning over like she has some sort of strange disease. The back is straight, the head is up, all the weight's on the rear leg. Okay, good. And that is one move that we're not going to be able to hold for very long. Well, I can, but... Okay, so from needle at the bottom of the C. The right hand is going to swing out. And you notice now that's going to create more weight over here, so now she can step out in that 45-degree angle and then change the foot, so the foot is going to be facing, well, to the front now, but actually, since this is all backwards, it's going to be facing to the rear. Now her right hand is going to shoot down toward her knee as she shifts her weight. So now most of the weight is going to be on the left foot. The right hand is going to be shooting down by the knee. The left hand is going to be protecting the neck, if you're going to call it the martial aspect, and the palm is going to be out. When you protect yourself, you want to make sure the palm is outward because you have too many tendons and nerves and that stuff in the back of the hand. Now, from this position, let's stand up for a second. Okay, now do it that way. Now, as you see, stand a little more upright. No, there you go. Now this is wrong. See that if you're going to take a ruler and go right along the side of her leg, and you see where it hits the spine, now the spine has an abrupt upward aspect. What we want to do is have a straight line right along the leg. So when she does this move, she actually tilts, and so now we have a perfect line all the way up from the foot to the shoulders, the neck, right on top of the head. It's a very strong, very martially supportive move. So when she does this next move called slanted flying, she turns the foot first. Now she's going to shift the weight. As she shifts the weight, she comes off the ground on the other one with her, wait a minute, off with the toe. See how the toe moves? Hence, just like some of the other moves, when we rotate right on the heel, now as she swings out, now both the feet are facing to the front. The rear hand is going way into the back. This is here, and if you notice, she's tilted the same way as she was before. So anytime that you have a really elongated posture, you want to have the spine continuing that elongation versus having some sort of abruption, new word, at the spine, where the spine comes out of the pelvis. So this move is called slanted flying. Go back to the one, there we go. Now, if you take this and really use your imagination, this is very similar to parting the wild horse's mane. You can kind of picture the little ball there. As she shifts the weight, that's kind of like the shoulder strike, boom, and then the toe comes up, boom, really elongated. So you can consider this a really elongated parting the wild horse's mane. Now, I'm going to continue here because this is good on this leg. So as she comes up, she's going to stay low, and the foot comes up as slow as possible, and she's going to do the motion called elbow strike, where the right hand is a fist, and the left hand covers over it. Now, for those of you with any kind of Chinese backgrounds, this is a Chinese greeting, as well as a lot of salutation for many Kung Fu schools. Now, what happens here is the hand comes up like you're taking something out of your pocket. It turns into a fist. The left hand comes over it, covering it. And as the strike comes forward, you step forward with the heel first, and then put your weight on it. As you rotate, the elbow should be facing right to the front. Now, the position of the hand in relationship to the shoulder and the elbow is important here. If for some reason, let's say she had her hand here, put your other hand on top, this is not going to be structurally stable. That's going to make an owie. If her hand is down, that's going to make even more of an owie. Yeah. And I hit her. If you want the shoulder, the hand, or the fist, and the elbow to be in line, now, see, it's structurally stable. But don't try this at home. And Tai Chi is such a peaceful art. So at the end of this here, the right elbow is shoulder height. Most of the weight is on the front foot, the right foot, and the knee is bent. And the back foot is at a 45-degree angle, just like always. All right, after the elbow strike, we have probably the most complex of motions called white stork cools its wings right into the next motion of brush knee push. As long as you break them apart, they're simple. When you try to move them together, it becomes crazy. So what we're going to do, the first thing is we're going to break them up into distinct parts, but when you practice it, they all run together. Now the first motion, called white stork cools its wings, Patty's going to step back. As she steps back, her left hand goes over her elbow. So if an attacker is holding on the elbow, she's going to break the contact. Now her weight's going to go backwards, and as she doesn't rotate too much, her right hand is up, left hand is down, on her front foot, the toe is raised forward. That is white stork cools its wings. Now from that posture, the left hand is going to come down and up. Okay, hold it just for a second now. Now, let's stick with the left hand. The left hand, so we're going to break this down. The left hand is going to come back. Don't do anything with the feet. The left hand is going to come back and forward like you're swimming. The hand is going to go forward. Your fingertips are going to be leading, and then just at the end, they're going to come upward. And all the right hand is going to do is it's going to come up and then down in front. And then we step at the same time. This sounds complex, and it is. So let's go forward with the elbow. Now she's going to do the movement very slowly. She's going to step back. Now she's doing white stork, cools its wings. Hand comes down, up. She's going to step forward very gently. And now hold that. Now that is brush knee push. Her left hand is pushing. Her right hand is right past her knee in front of the thigh. The rear leg is at a rear foot is at a 45-degree angle, and the right leg is positioned. There's about 60% of the weight on the front foot, and the foot is facing forward. There we go. Perfect. Now, the next motion is going to be brush knee push on the opposite side. So in doing this motion, she retreats back, her weight goes backward, toe comes up, rotates right about 45 degrees. Now the foot is at a 45-degree angle. She's going to plant it. The right hand goes backwards, giving the foot, as her hand stays back, and allows her to move her foot forward and stepping very lightly. Now the weight goes forward, and all she does is do the same thing with the hand and in the opposite position, where the left hand is just in front of the thigh and the right hand is pushing. If you notice, I'm not going to ask her to turn, but her arm is at about a 60-degree angle here, so it's going to be bent, so it's only about a 70% push. Only extend about 70%. Now, from this motion, she's going to rock backwards. Pretend like she's bringing... Well, hold it just for a second. The affectionate term for this is in the pizza, out the pizza. So she's going to bring her hands together like she's bringing something toward her, and then down. Her fingertips are going to face together, and then down. Now you notice that all her weight's on the rear foot. She's up on her toe, and there's no weight on the toe. Now she's going to come up, inhale, the foot actually comes up, and then comes down to the ground, only stepping with the heel, and the hands come up and out like you're playing a harp. Okay, so let's try that again there you go. Inhaling, exhaling. Now she inhales here, knee comes up, plants the heel, and your hands come down like they're playing a harp. Now, there's no stopping here. It continues to go. Her hands continue on to the right side of her body, and I'll hold that just for a second. I'm going to check her balance. This is called double fists. Thank you. Her knee is up. She's crossing her legs like some sort of Irish jig, and her hands are in fists, very loose fists. Now, as she comes forward, the first move from here is to kick downward with the heel and place it on the ground. Now, hold that just for a second. If you notice, her fists are cocked, awkward like this. And now when she does her strike with the front hand, she's going to flick the wrist. And as this comes down at a 45-degree angle, that's going to flick too. Now she's going to come through and do the same thing on the other side. Boom, boom. Sound effects are optional. Now, from here, that's called the double fists. Now she's going to step forward very gently, shift the weight forward. As she shifts her weight, she's going to punch with the right hand, and her left hand is right here near the bicep. Now, we're going to keep on going since we're practically at the end here. Her left hand is going to move under her arm, and then as she pulls the right hand back, she's going to be what we call wiping off the blood. And then rotate her hips back and push. Now as she pushes, fingertips are upward but relaxed. Hands at about 70%, and body is upright. And that's the end of the first set.